Good evening. It's the Reverend Prebendary Robert D. King here. And I thought I would give you a Robert cast as I'm wearing my dog collar. Why am I wearing my dog collar, I hear you saying? Particularly as it's a Wednesday. And it's Wednesday, it's the 27th of May. Well, I'm wearing a dog collar because I did some recording this morning. Preparing for Pentecost, and it seems a bit strange preaching a Pentecost sermon on the Wednesday before the Sunday that's Pentecost. Pentecost is the birthday, by the way. Everyone was filled with the Spirit and went out into Jerusalem telling the good news. They said, people around about said, are these men drunk? Are they filled with new wine? And Peter said, well, of course they're not drunk. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. I thought, we haven't lived in Kelso then. Anyhow, I had my dog collar on and I thought I'd just pop it back on to do this, do my BOBCAST. I'll be wearing it tomorrow as well because I'm going up to Dunfermline, which is just over the 4th, not the 3rd or the 5th, but the 4th. And I'll be going over the new crossing, the new bridge. I'm well excited because it's a road trip. It'll be the first road trip I've done since March, about March the 14th, I think. So I've had to put diesel in the car, all those things. So as I go on the road trip, I'll obviously be thinking about all the things I talk about on BOBCAST. We talk about quite often jobs I used to do. I used to have a job at a calendar factory, but I got fired for taking a few days off. Just found a joke here, which I don't think I can actually tell. I don't think it's terribly appropriate. So, I had a few jobs in my life because I'm getting old now. I'm not as old as most of you who are listening or watching, but I am pretty old, and I used to get heartburn whenever I ate my birthday cake. And the doctor then said to me, well, why don't I take the candles off first? So I thought, that's a very, very good idea. Anyhow, I've been doing this whole ministry thing for quite a long time, and one of the things that keeps floating around, which makes me smile, are the misquotes in either church magazines or on notice boards. They're all over the place, and you'll have heard them before, but someone just sent me another lot of them, and I thought, it's really quite easy. Due to the rector's illness, Wednesday's healing service will be discontinued until further notice. I know, it's just like that, isn't it? Today's sermon, How Much Can a Man Drink? With hymns from a full choir. Yeah, that's all right. I like this. Applications are now being accepted for 2-year-old nursery workers. So it's funny, isn't it, how things are misinterpreted and words are used in different ways and things. There's quite a lot of things on Facebook where you have to do grammar. I went to the market, TWOTO or TOO, and fill them in. It's good to keep the old brain going. Good to keep the brain going during lockdown. Because if not, the brain gets a bit numb. And I've spent quite a lot of time sitting on my brains. So I need to do something about that. By the way, I just saw a picture of Mount Rushmore before it was carved. Its beauty was quite unprecedented. Absolutely. Now, I'm not sure whether that joke needs to have a warning on it that you need to get information or not. We do live in a strange world, don't we? We live in a very, very strange world indeed. Right, I promised you yesterday that we would talk about pets. And what's your favourite pet? Which of the animals that you have, domestic or farm or whatever, what's been your favourite? Have you had ones that you particularly liked? Or like me, are they all favourites? When I was a wee boy, my mum and dad, I think I've told you this before, my mum and dad were called Liz and Phil. And we had 2 cats, Albert and Victoria. The old royal things, of course, her surname was King. And then when we got married, our first pet was a little cat called Robin. And she was a Turkish van. I bought her thinking she'd be white, because she was a white van. And then I would have been the man for her, so the white van man. But she was white, but she had a bit of orange on her as well. She was a nice cat. And then we got a second one, and this is true, he was born in a stable, well, a bike shed actually, outside our church on Christmas Eve. Perfectly true. So outside St Ninian's Church in Glasgow. And this was a big tortoiseshell cat. And I wanted to call him Jesus, but I wasn't allowed because, calling the cat in, oh, Jesus, come in here. Oh, Jesus, come out there. Wasn't going to do it. Do you want some dinner, Jesus? What do you think about this, Jesus? Would you get off the bed, Jesus? Apparently it wasn't very appropriate. I wasn't thinking of being ordained then. Well, I was, but I was just dodging it. I was just getting away from it. I've got a green stripy mug, put some coffee in it. That's well nice. So anyhow, we called that cat Crackers. And he was a wonderful animal. We had Crackers for many, many, many years. He was sadly run over during Holy Week many years later. And a little boy I know said, don't worry, Crackers is going to come back on Monday. Oh, bless. So Crackers was a cracking cat. We had another one, and the name is just escaping me. Sophie, her name was, and Sophie lived with us for a long, long time. I've talked about her before. She was the one-eyed cat. She lost an eye, which is a bit difficult actually. You go out and just lose an eye. She went to the vet and she just lost an eye. Came back, just winking. So she lived till she was nearly 18. And then we moved into the realms of dogs. And our first dog was a Lhasa and you always have to plan to get a dog. We were at home one Sunday. Our next door neighbour said, why don't you get a dog? We said that's a great idea, and managed to get one that afternoon. So Fergus was a pedigree, well, I don't know if he was pedigree, I think he was a pedigree Lhasa, but he was the runt of the runt. He was the runt of the litter, and his jaw was underscored, but he was an amazing little dog. I never, ever, ever, ever won an argument with Fergus, and he was a legend. He had this issue, really, that he always lifted his leg. So wherever he went, he would lift his leg, and that was really quite embarrassing because it could be over people. I remember a friend coming and she was wearing open-toed sandals. You can guess the rest. Another man came, a lovely, lovely man, very beautifully dressed, blazer, shirt and tie, grey flannels. Yeah, you can guess. And Fergus was a nightmare for that. Absolute nightmare. And when he had his little operation that boy dogs have, he had to wear pull-up pants, so he had sort of swimming trunks on. And of course you had to take them off for him to wee. Oh, it was just incredible. But Fergus was a very determined dog. But we had terrible problems, I said, with this issue of him weeing, which he did all his life. He just did it. He was 15 when he died. But I took him to the vet once in Crowthorne in Berkshire, where we lived. Very posh vet. And the vet said, well, he said, we could send this dog to a doggy psychiatrist. This is true. And I had visions of this animal lying on a couch, lying on its back, with its paw in a tin of Pal, saying, no, well, actually, I understand myself perfectly. It's that lot that don't seem to get it. And then the vet wrote across Fergus's card, poor little Fergus, this is true. He wrote, in my opinion, this dog is probably a loony. Well, Fergus was a great dog and was very much part of our lives for many, many, many years. More about dogs another day. Have you got any doggy stories to tell me? Funny dogs? Funny doggy stories? Happy ones, sad ones, jolly ones? Ones to make you laugh? Ones to make you woof? Have I got time to do a poem? I'm just beginning to wonder because it's quite a long poem I've got, but because it's also about animals. Yeah, but here we go. This is called The Cow Who Jumped Over the Moon by Celia Johnson. A cow who jumped over the moon remarked, gazing up at the sky, I think I shall try those Olympics. There's no one as clever as I. If I went in for the high jump, I'd be sure of a medal, you see. Or is it grammatically better to say, there's no one as clever as me? The head of the herd, called Daisy, methodically chewing the cud, said, "You haven't jumped over the moon, my dear, since cons before the flood. And though it was simply delightful, I must proffer a slight demur. What I am trying to say is, you're not as young as you were. As far as I can remember, that dog was rather a flop. I'm all for laughter and jollity, but he never knew when to stop. And the spoon with the dish was disgraceful, that caused the most fearful to do. There hasn't been quite such a rumpus since the woman who lived in the shoe." The cow who jumped over the moon replied, giving a tentative hop, "There may be something in what you say, it's a long way over the top. I think I shall have to forego the fame and the dais with me in the middle, and the honour and glory, the flags and the cheers, and the band playing Hey Diddle Diddle." The head of the herd, called Daisy, said with a satisfied glance, "Your nobleness does you credit. One must give the heifers a chance. And thanks to your shining example, some of them aren't too dud." And after this selfish decision, they returned to chewing the cud. I really like that when I found it. It's just lots of things about nursery rhymes and dish running away with the spoons and all those different things there that made, just put it all back. So, a bit of an animal theme. And of course, this could be the House of the Rising Sun. There's a link. How's that for there is a house in New Orleans? There's a house of ill repute. That song was written about Eric Burdon and the Animals. Great blues singer, one of the best white blues singers ever. And so an animal theme today. So what about your animals? The ones that made you happy, the ones that made you sad. Maybe the ones that made you a living, the ones that made you mad. The ones that made you smile, the ones that made you the ones that always, seem to do, but terrible costs would incur. I'm making this up as I go along, by the way, so don't write to me about syntax and things like that. So, Wednesday night, middle of the week, I'm driving to Dunfermline tomorrow, and please, a few prayers for me as I take Derek's funeral. It's going to be on webcast, so that always brings an extra dimension to it. And we'll think of Katrina and Ewan and Margaret, all those people. And I think of you too. Thank you for all the support and the care that you give us. It's so great. We were saying Grace said in the service that she started when she was recording this morning, I just watched a bit of it back. She just said, thank you for all those people who support each other. And supporting each other is really important. There's a lovely thing doing the rounds at the moment, and it's on the Kelso community page. I was going to do it tonight, but I'll try and remember to do it tomorrow. And it's just talking about being kind to all the differences that people have and the different ways of doing things. So take care, my lovelies. God bless you. And may the Lord be with us to guide us, within us to strengthen us, without us to protect us, above us to raise us, beneath us to uphold us, before us to lead us, behind us to guard us, and ever about us this day and evermore. Watch, dear Lord, with those who wake or watch or weep tonight, and give your angels charge over those who sleep. Tend your sick ones, O Lord Christ, rest your weary ones, bless your dying ones, soothe your suffering ones, pity your afflicted ones, and shield your joyous ones, all for your love's sake. Amen. Did you hear about the ATM machine that got addicted to money? It suffered with withdrawals. See ya. Bye. Speak to you tomorrow.